It's dated between November 27th, 2001 and October 23rd, 2007, referred to on the attached list labeled List C, with a recommendation of release.
Second.
We have motion second. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Mr. Mayor, next I move to make a finding that a need for confidentiality still exists with respect to those closed session minutes on the lists labeled List A and List B for minutes dating between and including August 26, 2003 and November 27, 2007, with a recommendation of do not release.
Second.
Motion second. Questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. That moves us to correspondence. Does any council persons have any correspondence to share at this time? Seeing none. Clerk?
We have none, Your Honor.
We have one public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide an opportunity for all interested in or affected by the grant agreement with the United States Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance to express their views regarding the proposed use of Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant grant funds. The proposed council bill authorizes the city manager to execute a grant agreement with the Bureau of Justice Assistance for the Ed Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program in the amount of $25,312. Notice of this public hearing was published on July 6, 2008 in the Champaign-Urbana News Gazette. I now declare this public hearing open. If anyone desires to express their views regarding the proposed use of funds under the grant agreement, please come forward and be recognized. Seeing none, I now declare the public hearing closed. Clerk, call first council bill.
Council Bill Number 2008-166, a resolution establishing council policy regarding a disadvantaged business enterprise program for federally funded transit and transportation projects and codifying such policy.
So moved.
Second.
The purpose of this council bill is to approve the disadvantaged business enterprise program to comply with federal mandates. Anybody in the audience wish to address this council bill, please step forward. Seeing none. Council? Clerk, call roll.
Councilmember Foster,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ledoux,
Yes.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Pirrock,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes?
Dodds,
Yes.
Finan,
Yes.
Mayor Schweihart.
Yes, it was approved, 9-0.
Council Bill Number 2008-167, a resolution adopting the Interstate Overpass Enhancement Master Plan as a city council policy.
So moved.
Second.
The purpose of this council bill is to adopt the Interstate Overpass Enhancement Master Plan as a council policy. Anybody in the audience wish to address this council bill, please step forward. Seeing none. Council? Marcy?
Since we've been told by the state, I believe, that the City of Champaign logos can't be on our beautiful overpasses, I would at least like to propose that if the U of I logo goes on the University of Illinois overpass style, University of Illinois style overpasses, that they contribute to the beautification of their entranceway into our town. That was it. I'd like to say that it's time they start contributing.
Thank you.
you.
Deb?
Step up to the plate, as it were.
Bruce, I have to ask about lighting. With the university style, we have sort of a picture of what the light may look like. I assume it's like the other bids that we are doing, that the fixture itself could be changed and updated to more environmentally friendly and sustainable lighting as the technology changes, that this is just sort of the feature look of what the pole and the holder for the light would look like.
Right. The intent is that it would be consistent with the University District streetlight style. We're going through a process right now to review that, and anything we learn through that process would be used on any of these interstate overpasses as well.
And I assume the lighting requirements for an interstate overpass would have to meet IDOT standards and all sorts of things as well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Any other council comments? Clerk call roll.
Councilmember Foster,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ledoux,
Yes.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Pirrock,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Dodds,
Yes.
Finan,
Yes.
Mayor Schweihart.
Yes, it was approved 9-0.
Council Bill number 2008-168, a resolution approving the replat of lots 115A to D and 118A to D of the Cove subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
The purpose of this council bill is to approve the replat of lot 115 AD and 118 AD of the Aspen Gold, the Cove subdivision, which is located in Boulder Ridge subdivision, east of Bluegrass Lane and south of Boulder Ridge Drive. Anybody from the audience wish to address this council bill, please step forward. Council? Clerk call roll.
Councilmember Foster,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ledoux,
Yes.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Pirrock,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Dodds,
Yes.
Finan,
Yes.
Mayor Schweihart.
Yes, it was approved 9-0.
Council Bill number 2008-169, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Champaign and Champaign County relative to the 2008 Burn Justice Assistance Grant.
So moved.
Second.
The purpose of this council bill is to authorize the city manager to execute a grant agreement with the United States Department of Justice to receive $25,312 through the 2008 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, and to execute an interagency agreement with Champaign County to apply and administer the grant funds. No matching funds are required. Anybody from the audience wish to address this council bill, please step forward. Council? Clerk call roll.
Councilmember Foster,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ledoux,
Yes.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Pirrock,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Dodds,
Yes.
Finan,
Yes.
Mayor Schweihart.
Yes, it was approved 9-0.
Council Bill number 2008-170, a resolution approving a letter of intent with the Illinois Department of Transportation for the jurisdictional transfer and maintenance of Market Street from Kenyon Road to Fort Harris Road.
So moved.
Second.
This council bill would approve a letter of intent between IDOT and the City of Champaign. The proposed letter of intent is a form of intergovernment agreement with documents the intent of the city and the state to transfer the jurisdiction of Market Street from Kenyon Road to Fort Harris Road to city jurisdiction. This letter of intent also documents the state's intent to pay the city $5.2 million for the upgrade and maintenance of Market Street. Anybody from the audience wish to address this council bill, please step forward. Seeing none, council. Marcy?
Dennis, I have a question. If I read this correctly, this, by and large, the cow was out of the barn by the time we're getting the Market Street, I'll explain what I mean by that in a second, by the time we're getting the Market Street transference. In other words, the problems we were having and the reason we wanted this road to be under our jurisdiction was because it was very difficult to develop, but it's by and large largely developed at this point. Some of the problems have been solved even though it's been IDOT. Is there a way to avoid this in the future, that we can actually take advantage of or get the road ahead of time so that we don't run into this problem with development and in the future?
I guess to respond to your question, yes. I imagine, I'm trying to think of other ones that are remaining for us to take jurisdiction over. There's the Mattis Avenue section, which we already, which is already fully developed. So it only would be the section remaining here on Market Street further north, and we definitely could apply that principle in the future.
I might just add that there are probably some operational issues that are advantage. We talked about development-related issues and wanting control of the street for those purposes, but there are questions. For example, there was a fatal accident at Olympian and Market Street a couple years ago. We suggested that the state consider, because we think the warrants are there for a signal. They didn't agree with us, and so we were not able to put a signal there. Also, questions about speed limits. We're concerned about cars coming in from the north, going by the shopping center, really at a pretty high rate of speed, probably still going 50 or sometimes 60 miles an hour. That's not so much of an issue for the state. It's a bigger issue for us, and so I think there's some reasons operationally that will benefit the city by taking this, even though the development may be done by the time this money gets budgeted and we actually take transfer.
I was okay with that. I was just asking if there's a way to be more proactive on this sort of thing in the future.
Deb?
What I didn't see in here, and maybe I missed it, was anything that actually requires us to spend this money on market. It says they're paying us, that, these upgrades are needed, and I guess my question is, how are we going to allocate this and make sure that this money actually gets spent on market and not used elsewhere and for other roads that are needy?
Yeah, we're not required to spend the money on Market Street. It's up to the city council to decide the best use of that. And what the Public Works Director has proposed is that we take a look at both Market Street and Staley Road, which we should accept the jurisdiction of Staley Road later this year to determine what do we really need to do from a street improvement standpoint and set aside funds to do that. We may not want to use all of the money on Market Street. We may want to use some of it on Market Street, some for other priorities. Those decisions will come to council through the normal capital improvements process, and that'll be in this case, the $5.2 million will be funds that we'll have to decide how to allocate.
Can I ask a follow-up for that? The number, the 5.2, seemed as though it was arrived at by our engineers anticipating how much it would cost for us to take care of this road over a long, extended period of time. And so it's sort of the improvements now, but also the maintenance and upkeep. And so if we take some of that money that we're getting now and we use them on current roads that have problems, I guess I feel like we're just sort of then requiring the next city council in 20 years to find the money to do Market Street. And maybe that's appropriate and maybe it's not, but I feel like I want to at least talk about it as we're approving this, so that as we move forward with our capital improvement plan, we think about spending this money for the road that we were given the money for.
I think that's a really good policy issue. However, when we've tried to understand, actually it's a state calculation, we've tried to get them to explain the calculation to us. They've been unable to do it in a way that we understand it. So you may be giving the engineers too much credit here.
Gina?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, number one, the condition of Market Street, and hopefully with the addition, some of these monies will be used in the transportation effort in which to put bicycle lanes on North Market, and hopefully widen it, one with the traffic to FedEx, the traffic from 57, and hopefully to improve that as a corridor into Champaign. But it is in dire need. And I'm sure it won't be hard to allocate the majority of that, a lot of that monies toward repairing that over to Fort Harris Road.
Any other council comment? Vic?
Just one, and Dennis, I hope not put you on the spot here, but is it my understanding that everything from the Marketplace Shopping Center out to Olympia Drive is already, we will receive enough land for this so we can widen that all the way to Olympia 4-lane and we won't have to go through property acquisition?
Yeah, you've put me on the spot. I don't know the answer to that. I could research that for you, Vic, and a council member, and get back to you on that with an answer. I don't want to answer that off the top of my head.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
Okay, and I guess I would like to know that. To me, with the ditch system that's out there, it looks to me like we will probably be able to do this as long as once the storm sewers go in and we can actually put curb and gutter in there. And for that reason, I think this is a positive, very positive thing for the city to have done. and agree with Marcy that any other areas, we should try and stay on top of this before we run into the problems like we had on Staley Road and also on Market Street, that we should try and stay ahead of the game here if another one of these roads comes into play around development that IDOT owns. So I will enthusiastically, the only thing wrong with this is 2010 is too far away.
Any other council comment? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Foster,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ledoux,
Yes.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Pirock,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes?
Dodds,
Yes.
Finan,
Yes.
Mayor Swihart.
Yes, it was approved 9-0.
Council Bill number 2008-171, a resolution authorizing the purchase of 204 and 204.5 East Park Street.
So moved.
Second.
This council bill authorizes the city manager to execute a contract with LeafCon in the amount of $117,000 for the purchase of 2 properties for Phase 3 of the Boneyard Creek Improvement Plan. Anybody from the audience wish to address this council bill, please step forward. Council? Deb?
I need to abstain, although our law firm doesn't represent Mr. Khan on this purchase. We have represented him in the past.
Any other council comment? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Foster,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ledoux,
Yes.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Pirock,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Dodds,
Yes.
Finan,
Abstain.
Mayor Swihart.
Yes, it was approved, 8 yes, 1 abstention.
Council Bill number 2008-172, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a change order with Stark Excavating for the 2008 concrete street maintenance project.
So moved.
Second.
The purpose of this council bill is to authorize the city manager to execute a change order number 1 in the amount of $119,772.15 with Stark Excavating for the 2008 concrete maintenance project. Anybody in the audience wish to address this council bill, please step forward. City Council? Karen?
I'm just curious, Dennis, I don't understand the, on page 2, the process that is outlined about Stark denying the terms of the contract or whatever's. If you could just explain that to me a little bit better.
We've got a process set up here in our contract documents where we specify the style of curb and gutter that we want on the project. We don't define the method in which the contractor builds that, okay? So when we bid this project originally, we had a set quantity of curb and gutter in the project, and the contractor provided us with a unit price for that, and he based that unit price on so much of it being done by hand and so much of it being done by machine. Now we move along into the project, we award the contract, and now we want to increase that quantity. And what the contractor is arguing at this point in time is that we've changed the quantity, the percentages of hand versus machine curb and gutter being built is different now, and he thinks that entitles him to a higher unit price bid. Unit price for the quantity of work. So that's what the issue is that we've changed the quantities, we've distorted the percentages according to the, I'm not saying that the contractor's correct here, but I'm trying to give you what his claim is, and that's the basis of his argument at this point in time.
But what is the process that you are going through?
Okay, we have, I'm sorry, the process is a conflict resolution. He submitted the claim to us, to the staff out at Public Works. We reviewed it. We also checked with other folks outside the agency of Public Works to see what their opinions were, so it wasn't just based on our staff's opinion. And what we basically then did is turn down their request. He then has the right, of course, recording the contract documents to appeal that to the city manager. And then after that, there's a further conflict resolution portions of the contract document where we bring somebody in. I think it's the way it works is from somebody from the outside that can actually make a determination. That third step I'm not real certain about, but I can check on that. But it's basically a three-step process. He deals with staff, then the city manager, and then there's one more step in the process as well.
Thank
Gina?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure who would answer this question, maybe Bruce. What's the criteria for being able to use urban renewal funds on a project?
I'm actually probably not the best person to answer that. The Neighborhood Services Department manages the Urban Renewal Fund. I think Richard has indicated he can answer that question.
Anybody?
The Urban Renewal Fund was established some time ago, I can't recall, many years ago, probably close to 30 years ago, when the council increased the utility tax by 0.75 cents and designated that amount to go into an urban renewal fund to be used for neighborhood improvement and economic development. Over the years, council has generally focused that on neighborhood improvement, but in some cases, such as North First Street, has used it for economic development, obviously a more neighborhood-based type of economic development. But I guess the big picture is that there is an ordinance that provides a general definition, and that is strictly local. Council sets that and has set policies regarding that, but it is a council policy, it's not federal funds or state or anything like that.
No, I was just wondering if this particular project, by the description, qualifies for urban renewal funds.
Maybe I'll jump in here. I think what you're looking at is in the budget impact section, and you see
Correct.
the portion of the dollars being dedicated. If you would look at the original council report where we approved this contract, you would see that included in this project was the reconstruction work taking place on Eureka as well as on Hickory Street. Right. And that's what that $141,000 was to pay for the new portion of the project or those road improvements up in that neighborhood.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Any other council comment? I guess I got a couple to follow up on what Karen says. You know, I understand this work's not been done, but I'm concerned that we've got this many grievances even getting into the project, and I don't know if that makes me feel real comfortable dealing with a company who's got grievances, and then what kind of quality work they're going to do for us if they're battling with the city before the project ever starts. What would happen if we reject this and go to the next guy?
Let me just let me clarify and indicate that when I met with Stark, and I've ruled in this as well, and I turned down their request, and so it is going. We're waiting for them to ask to go to the final step of appeal. But and this council bill is based on what our engineers have calculated they're due under the unit prices in the contract. This agreement or this council bill isn't geared to give them the amount that they've requested under their appeal. This just would pay them what the staff thinks that we owe them for the additional work that we've asked them to do. But they've indicated that they will go ahead and complete the work, and regardless of how this is determined, they've assured us that they want to do a quality job, and they will do a quality job. You know, obviously that remains to be seen, how the work gets completed. But we understand the mayor's concerns with this, and you know, we've used this contractor for a few jobs, and you know, sometimes why, you know, probably the quality of the work has been criticized by some, and in other cases they've done really pretty good work. But it's obviously one we're keeping an eye on.
Any other council comment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still grasping this. proportionate change between how much of the curb is constructed by hand and how much is constructed by machine, the total amount of curb that needs to be constructed increased, correct? And that changed the proportion such that a greater percentage had to be constructed by hand. That's where I'm finding, I'm scratching my head as to why, if you increase the total amount of curb that you have to pour, you know, me as somebody not in the concrete industry would think that that might provide you with opportunities to put more of it down by some kind of an automated machine, and a smaller proportion would have to be hand tooled. But that's not the way it worked, huh?
I'll respond to that. I guess what I was trying to state in the best terms that I understand was the contractor's argument. I wasn't trying to indicate that I agree with that argument at all. And I think you're struggling with the same thing that we were struggling with when he presents that argument to us.
Yeah. I mean, in general, I would think the larger project becomes the greater proportion of it you can do in some kind of an automated method, and the smaller proportion of it needs to be hand detailed.
Again, we don't really care what method the contractor uses, but his argument was the original contract documents were quite a bit of sidewalk along a street, so that, you know, long stretches of sidewalk, that machine work would be appropriate. What we've added is a lot of areas around driveways and things like that that have to be done by hand. That's their argument.
Okay.
Any other council comment? I just want to state for the record, I will be voting no against this because I feel very uncomfortable dealing with a contractor that we've had questionable work in the past, and now he's picking to argue before we ever get started on this, and I do not feel comfortable dealing with him. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Foster,
Yes.
Jackson,
No.
Ledoux,
No.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Pirrock,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Dodds,
Yes.
Finan,
Yes.
Mayor Schweihart.
No, and you're going to have to help me with the count. We had 3 noes,
Three.
so that would be 6. It was approved, 6 yes, 3 noes.
Council Bill number 2008-173, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute change order number 1 with Champaign Asphalt Company LLC for the 2008 bituminous overlay project.
So moved.
Second.
The purpose of this council bill is to authorize the city manager to execute change order number 1 in the amount of $131,937.38 with Champaign Asphalt Company LLC for the 2008 bituminous overlay project. Anybody in the audience wish to address this council bill, please step forward. Seeing none, council. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Foster,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ledoux,
Yes.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Pirrock,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Dodds,
Yes.
Finan,
Yes.
Mayor Schweihart.
Yes, it was approved 9-0.
Council Bill number 2008-174, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract for the purchase of 1 flusher truck and declaring 1 flusher truck to be surplus.
So moved.
Second.
The purpose of this council bill is to accept a negotiated purchase and authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Prairie International Trucks Incorporated to purchase 1 2009 International 7400 flusher truck in the amount of $181,562. This council bill also declares the existing flusher truck as surplus property to be used as trade-in towards the purchase of the new truck. Anybody in the audience wish to address this council bill? Please step forward. Council. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Foster,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ledoux,
Yes.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Pirrock,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Dodds,
Yes.
Finan,
Yes.
Mayor Schweihart.
Yes, it was approved 9-0.
Council Bill number 2008-175, a resolution appointing James L. Rose to the Neighborhood Services Advisory Board in the city of Champaign.
So moved.
Second.
I just want to mention that this name being brought forward, James Rose, just recently retired, I think, as the director of the Homestead Corporation in Urbana, and he immediately volunteered for a position in Urbana, so I particularly want to thank Mr. Rose for stepping forward and serving on one of these committees. So, presenting the name of James Rose, anybody in the audience who wish to address this council bill, please step forward. Seeing none, council. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Foster,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ledoux,
Yes.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Pirock,
Yes.
Bruno,
Yes.
Dodds,
Yes.
Finan,
Yes.
Mayor Schweihart.
Yes, it was approved 9-0. Lose my place there.
Holds.
Yeah, I lost my second sheet here.
Here.